When I think about the gold standard for remasters, there's two video games that come to mind incredibly readily. There's the Black Mesa remake for Half-Life 1, and then there's Bluepoint's fantastic remake of Demon's Souls, as well as Shadow of the Colossus. They are both absolute gold standards for remasters, and I think we've just hit upon a new gold standard, which is the Super Mario RPG remaster. It is a near flawless remaster. It has some issues that hold it back in some ways, but it is easily ignorable. And they are mostly to do with minor changes to the characters and minor changes where the performance isn't perfect. But other than that, it's fantastic. It brilliantly remasters cutscenes, it brilliantly remasters the world. There are some issues with the world where it makes it harder to find secret chests, but they've added in items that gave quality of life so you can actually find these secret chests pretty easily, especially right away. It gives you an Echo Finder ring that says, hey, there's a secret chest in this area, and you just have this equipped the whole game, and then you go, oh, there's a secret chest here, and then you go to YouTube and you look up where are the secret chests for this area, bam, you get it, and it's great. Where the problems come in is performance, because there are times where it just completely falls apart. And not for like just like, 1 or 2 seconds, for like long stretches, it just starts completely shitting the bed and not being perfect. Now this is because, well, the Switch is ailing hardware. But for ailing hardware, they have done a fantastic job. This is one of the few games that's actually 1080p, real 1080p on the Switch and 60 FPS. That is something of an achievement that even the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox 360 failed to master over and over again, was a stable 60 FPS 1080p. And this game doesn't perfectly achieve that, but does remarkably close. And has fantastic quality of life upgrades, much like Demon's Souls, much like Shadow of the Colossus, much like Black Mesa, that all really improve the game and make it playable to modern audiences, where you don't feel that constant negativity from being an ailing game from the 90s and the 80s. It actually just works properly. Now I know Demon's Souls isn't from the 80s and the 90s, it's a much more modern game, but it was stuck on PlayStation 3 hardware, and it was early PlayStation 3 hardware where they didn't quite have all the performance hiccups worked out, and the performance tanked real bad. And it turned out fantastic on PlayStation 5, and the quality of life upgrades made that game flawless, almost, except for Dragon God Boss. I still, to this day, I do not understand how you're meant to beat that boss correctly. I always go into it and I go, is this the right way I'm meant to be doing it? It doesn't seem to be working out, and then I just sort of like fluke my way to a victory, and I'm like, I guess that's what I was meant to do. But we're meant to be talking about Super Mario RPG and how you should play it today. I played this game originally on emulation on the PC way back in the day, and it was terrible. I did not like this game on my first playthrough. It took me 3 attempts at playing the game back in the day to actually get through the game once fully. And it wasn't until I had massive encouragement from seeing other YouTubers enjoying the game thoroughly, and especially Booster Tower and all this stuff, and it never quite clicked for me properly in SNES. However, the Switch version really makes it click. It gets rid of all the clunkiness from the options and the menus and trying to navigate the map. You can just press the start button and go to the map in any level and go, I want to go there. You could not do that on the SNES. When you're playing the SNES, when you got a crit, it wouldn't do AoE damage to the other enemies. In the remaster, it does, which means that when you're really over leveled, enemy fights don't take forever. You just have that perfectly timed attack, and boom, the enemies are all gone. It makes revisiting areas and getting lost way less tedious. It makes you actually want to engage with the world more and not just feel like every single combat encounter is setting you back, wasting your time, and you just want to like skip through it and you just sort of go complete autopilot. That being said, the ending of Super Mario RPG, once you have beaten the giant sword that stabs into Bowser's castle, really slows down to a halt, and it feels bad. Now, I barely remembered beating Spiffy on my first playthrough. I completely forgot this whole other section was in the game until about 2/3 through this final section. I went, oh yeah, I remember this section now. Yeah, it sucked. But that being said, this game has done a brilliant job of making those little issues not so issue-y. And what's really good is once you beat the game in this version, there is post-game content. So for those that really want to start digging their teeth in, finding all the secrets and everything else, there is content there for you to do. You can do the mini games, you can do your Super Mario Super Jump 100 times. I'm not going to do that, but go ahead, do them. But most importantly, there are new secret bosses that you can fight. And one of them is a giant cake, like we have fought in the throughout the game. And it has a new mechanic where you're trying to keep the candles down instead of just beating the cake. However, I was way too weak to beat the cake when I was doing my post-game check to just see what was there, feel it out a little bit. And I was like, okay, there is definitely a lot here, but it's probably not for me. And it might be for you who are the more dedicated super fans out there. Now, what are some of the small changes that I was talking about that were removed from the game? Specifically, it's the Mario doing the peace sign. He used to do it all the time in the original SNES RPG. Whenever he leveled up, he'll do a peace sign. Whenever he won the battle, he'll do a peace sign. Whenever he was just happy in general, he would do the peace sign. And it seems to have been changed to just be him holding his hand out and waving on yatta and stuff like that. It just feels a little bit incongruous with how it was originally. It's not a huge thing, it's not a big thing, and it's obviously because, well, the peace sign can be a quite negative symbol in certain parts of the world. And so, you know, removing it makes a little bit of sense, but I don't quite understand it. I would have just kept the peace sign in there because, hey, it's Mario, he's doing the peace sign, get over it, you know? There's also a few lines and character names that have been changed for sensitivity reasons that I don't understand fully. There's also a few other things that have been changed, not fully, but, you know, obviously that there was something more different here than there was in the past. I believe they didn't really fix the frog music minigame. It's still just as look up a guide rather than you actually work it out yourself. I know they explain it with like the do re mi and you're meant to like, oh yeah, it's music lines, I'm meant to actually learn basic music theory here, but I just go straight away. What's the guide say? Alright, that's a song. I think if they just, you know, labeled the water lines with the do re mi and stuff like that, or even just proper A B C D E F, you know, A B C D E F, you know. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Anyway, that's about all I got to say about Super Mario RPG. It is a very legitimately fun game. It's a gold standard RPG. It's a gold standard remaster. I am cautious about Paper Mario 1000 Year Door. I heard it's the best Super Mario RPG ever, but I've seen the trailers and it's 30 FPS. When on the GameCube it was 60 FPS, and I could emulate the GameCube at 60 FPS, 4K. I don't know. They really need to reevaluate that Paper Mario 1000 Year Door remake and make sure it's 60 FPS. I don't care if it's 1080p, I don't care if it's 720p, because at least if it's 60 FPS, when an inevitable Switch 2 does come out, it's a simple up-res for that game to be good. Just like this Super Mario RPG can very easily be up-resed, and the quality and the performance issues can be smoothed out on a new iteration of the Switch. If it ever comes, that is, because let's be real, we've been saying there's a Switch around the corner for literally 6 years. I've given up hope on a Switch coming around the corner. No matter how many leaks and references and chip designs literally being leaked for the Switch 2, I do not believe it until it is in my hands. Alright, see you later.